ladies and gentlemen, the redundant rant has been nuked. What is up, everybody? This is Jay, aka MultimediaJay. Did a little kind of where the bear took a dump in the woods discussion for an hour and then decided I could say that stuff so much better in videos. And I could actually tell the story of testing things like the YouTube subscription system and stuff better through tech videos. So I figured, why not just go in that direction with that instead? So the problem with streams. Streams are only good for certain things. And it's a situation where if you use them for stuff that videos are good for, you end up with something that's not as good. And is that what you want representing you over the long run on YouTube? Hope the answer is no. Because on YouTube, you're talking about the long haul. You're talking about videos that could be on your channel for years, including stream replays. So what do you want? If the algorithms send a random video from your channel to somebody and they're introduced to you for the first time, what do you want that introduction to be? Because first impressions matter. Those that saw my little rant live, yeah, you're the only ones that saw it, all two of you or whatever. Let's fire up some music and let's talk about Blu Ray. Been getting back into Blu Ray since the last vacation. I was inches from getting rid of Blu Ray completely from my section from my setup before going on vacation. And I verified by setting it up with the turd Shiva of all computers. I verified that this thing still works. Unbelievable. I mean, my involvement on Blu Ray began at the end of the 2000s, 2009, 2010. My involvement on Blu Ray began with a plug-in drive, a Plexter plug-in drive where the blue laser died in a year. I had a Samsung plug-in drive that didn't require additional power that worked really well as well, and the blue laser died on that one too. This is a light-on drive, BD-ROM, in an optical drive enclosure. This is a plug-in drive. This still works. So I actually have this hooked up to the turd Shiva, kind of use it as bedroom TV and stuff. If I want to fall asleep to a Blu-ray movie or something like that, or a DVD, because laptops have those pokey little side drives, this just spits out a tray. It's a lot easier to work with. So, I mean, this works, and it has worked for years. Went out and bought some rubber feet to throw on the bottom so I wouldn't scratch whatever is on and everything, and this is my longest lasting Blu-ray anything besides the PlayStation 3. The PS3, of course, is what it is, and I use it largely to watch Blu-rays because it's simple and it works. But I actually, as opposed to on the PC, where I actually had to upgrade my Cyberlink Powerdvd. I actually had to update Powerdvd to Powerdvd 19, which is the cheapo version on Steam. You can buy Powerdvd for $100 for Powerdvd 20. Powerdvd 19 though is usually $70 regular price. It was on sale for $50. So the big reason why I had to buy it was Bohemian Rhapsody required an AACS authentication key update. So it was too new for Powerdvd 15 Ultra that I had for years to play. So it just kept going into a loop. AACS needs to update, AACS needs to update, and it would not play the movie. It was a DRM issue. Fixed in the 2019 version, we'll see how long that one goes. But fundamentally, when you can buy when there isn't a chip shortage anyways, when you can buy a used PlayStation 3 and use that as a Blu-ray player, or a $40 or $50 Blu-ray player these days, hook it up to your network and do things that way and have it be a major brand like Sony. When you can set something like that up, what's the point of Blu-ray on PC? Other than the usual nerd rewards for what's inherently the most tinkerable setup that there is. So one of the things that Powerdvd does, let me see how this stream's doing versus the rant that it's replacing. Way better candidate for the #1 parking spot and things like that. So I used to make rant videos a long time ago, but it's not the sort of thing that ever had any real long-term prospects on my channel. But it's the sort of thing too where you start attracting bad people by doing too much of that, so you don't want to do that. But anyways, Powerdvd, I originally knew it as one of those bundleware programs like WinDVD and stuff way back in the day. But Powerdvd actually these days is, other if you don't get the basic version of it, you have to get at least the Ultra version, and that will do Blu-ray for you. But it also punches things up. And that's one of the hidden cool things about physical media in today's day and age, is that physical media can be punched up, whereas streams are stuck at whatever they're stuck at. So you take a DVD movie and whatnot, if you watch it on physical media, you can upscale the DVD and you can punch up the Blu Ray. Probably upscale the Blu Ray too if you have 4K support in your Blu Ray player for that kind of thing. But you can actually set that up. But the stream version of it, who knows? I was actually comparing Outsourced. For those of you who don't know about this movie, it's a culture shock romantic comedy, and it's one of those James Rolfe AVGN DVD rants waiting to happen, because this sticker for the security device is on the insert to where you are risking ripping the insert to get the darn sticker off. Who's the genius that thought this was a good idea? I can put a hairdryer on low and try and peel this off by heating up the glue. That's the only chance I have. I don't burn the whole thing. But Outsourced is one of those movies that I've seen a whole bunch of times on Netflix, and I've seen it mostly on streaming services. And you can actually stream it in HD on Amazon Prime. Problem is, even at 7 gigs an hour, it doesn't look all that good. It doesn't look like a Blu-ray. It doesn't look as good. It's not like when we did the Samsara test, where the Samsara digital stream was between, of course, was actually a little less than the Blu-ray, but it represented a very nice-looking way to stream HD. But it's just, it always comes down to the bitrate stuff. Been checking out Voodoo as well with some other things. Why did I fire this up? Looking at some other stuff here. Sounds and communications, da-da-da. Turn that off. But yeah, Outsourced is one of those movies. So basically, anybody who has any computer background can relate to what Outsourced is about, because it's about outsourcing. So if you've ever been on the phone with tech support over in India, this movie takes place in India. Guy works for a novelty company, he gets outsourced. And he goes off to India to train, the replacements, so to speak. Then the movie, things along those lines. It's one of those kind of jokey what-if type things that turned out to be a rather funny movie in the process. A whole lot of culture shock in here. Learned a few things about culture and over in India as well, and what it's like over there with some of these things. If you can imagine a country with less money and a lot more people, and the various ramifications, actually no, you probably can't. That's the sort of thing where you'd have to learn about it and whatnot. But I've watched this so many times on Netflix that I was like, let's get the DVD, get some kind of physical. There is no Blu-ray for this. Went looking for it. It's not there. And after looking at a so-called HD stream of this, I can see why. This definitely should be an upscaled DVD. That's it. Now, fire it up in this thing or whatever, and then try and run the sharpening filters, but fundamentally, you sometimes get limited by the equipment that was used to film the original movie. So, if it wasn't some huge thing that made millions at the box office and didn't have a huge development, anything behind it, you can only go so far. Another great example of DVD and whatnot, I don't have it with me right now, but one of the DVDs I have that is a blatant victim of this is Over New England, an old PBS special where someone in the 1990s flew a plane over New England and recorded all the scenery and threw in some sound effects like ocean waves and stuff. It's really nice and relaxing to watch, and it looked great on TV in the 90s on square screen tube TVs. It doesn't translate at all into the Blu-ray era. It looks like a terrible TV show. Because it was a terrible TV show. It was a terrible TV show with equipment that was made for standard def TV, and it would not look good if someone tried to punch it up to HD. Not without a ton of AI, and even then, who knows? There's just some things in life that are just not going to translate to high definition, and that's one of them. This movie's kind of like that too. Amazon has an HD stream, but if you compare an HD stream to an upscaled DVD of the same movie with Outsourced, you start to see, oh, wait a minute, there's a reason why this movie didn't have a Blu-ray release, and I think I found it. Not to be confused, by the way, with the Outsourced TV series that ran for one season. I saw that digitally as well many years ago. I didn't think it was as good as the original movie. I think it was just people wanted to see more of the characters, and they got a sitcom out of the deal for a grand total of one season. So the original story, as far as I'm concerned with Outsourced, the original story is much more worth having in some kind of collection. Now, what I was watching before I went live was the Indiana Jones Blu-ray thing, Complete Adventures, Blu-ray only, no digitals in here or anything. This is one of those AVGN things because James rants about Blu-ray casing. With these dumb little sleeves and stuff, like record sleeves, Problem is, these are Blu-rays we're talking about. 25 to 50 gigs on an optical disc, the size of a regular CD. So we know how prone these are to being screwed up by fingerprint smudges, flecks of dust, and other stupid little things that throw off the laser that's trying to be more precise on Blu-rays than they are on CDs or DVDs, and hence the anti-scratch coating and everything. But when you can't get the movie out of its case without putting fingerprint smudges on the edge of the disc, that is a packaging problem. So I wish there was a regular Blu-ray version of this. I would have picked that up instead. But as it stands, you have to half break the packaging, and then your discs will start floating out like this, because otherwise they'd be stuck inside the case. So you take the book, you put it inside the slipcase, and have the two of them tag team to keep the discs in place for the Indiana Jones Complete Adventures. But I would have much rather had a regular Blu-ray case than this book thing, because this book thing doesn't exactly pan out. And of course, you sometimes do that. You go to put it away and you don't have the best lighting in the world, and you actually shove the slipcase under the cover. Whoops. So, anyways, caught up on the Indiana... I'd never actually seen the Indiana Jones movies before. Heard about them, pop culture and everything like that, but, you know, Temple of Doom, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is the newer one, and there's one that's in development right now. Things along those lines. Heading down through the rest of the collection here, we've got Ashen's Blu-rays. So, you have Ashen's and the Quest for the Game Child. Saw this when it released on YouTube, but didn't see the whole thing. Wanted to see it in HD. Ashen's and the Polybius Heist, and then Ashen's and the Fly on the Wall, which is a behind-the-scenes thing. This is part of the signed box copy thing that Ashen's was doing for like a physical media, clearinghouse. The issue I have is, why are the Blu-ray cases big enough to be DVD cases? Here's Casino Royale. It's like double the width. It's gonna go inside a box set, of course, but I don't know why he's got these big cases when it's really just the disc inside. But yeah, Ashen's movies HD. I know with YouTuber movies, it's very heavily dependent upon the equipment as to whether the Blu-ray was worth it. I know some people had some major problems with the AVGN movie on Blu-ray because of that, so I don't know if I'll run into the same thing with these Ashen's movies or whatnot, but having supported Ashen's as long as I have, I wouldn't want to be upscaling DVDs or anything and putting up with stuff that computers introduce instead of limitations of the equipment. Casino Royale, I was just testing the plug-in drive with it. So, with this plug-in drive, there are USB 3 cases out nowadays. I'm wondering if I should upgrade the case on this thing to something that supports USB 3, or maybe wait until I'm making like a 4K drive or something. So what are the merits of a plug-in drive for Blu-ray? Well, if you have a computer where the only reason you're using optical discs is to watch movies, there you go. That's one use for it. The other use would be, of course, duty cycle. So if you burn DVDs and CDs or something, you can have something like this around as a backup or something along those lines. This is a BD-ROM drive from the days when those were still a thing. 6-speed Blu-ray, reads DVDs, DVD-ROM only, and it's CD-ROM only. There are no burner lasers or any burner functionality in this drive. Light on too. Just put it inside a USB 2 enclosure. Sometimes it overheats and shuts off, but that's the extent of the problems that I've had with it. So, I mean, this thing has sat for like years when I wasn't watching any Blu-rays, and it just sat in the project area. Then I went and hooked it back up, still works, set it up, upgraded my Powerdvd to support the newer AACS for the newer movies, and now, well, this thing's back in service. But yeah, make a plug-in drive. If you have, especially with computer cases not even having optical anymore because people aren't using optical like they used to, if you just want to add Blu-ray support through PC, that would be an option. But I think the bigger thing to do would be to buy a burner and put it inside in an enclosure for backup media. 25 to 50 gigs for an optical disc, not have to worry about, you know, an SD card flaking out or something, which I've had before. I've had USB drives mysteriously decide to stop working and lose everything on them. And that was with like 8 gigs or something. I can only imagine if I was backing things up. I've also had SD cards magically stop working. I mean, these are integrated circuits we're talking about. The simplicity and the maturity of the optical disc. The simplicity and the maturity of the optical disc that's been around for about 40 years makes it pretty decent for, you know, backups and whatnot, especially with Blu-ray having anti-scratch coating as standard. So The one and only optical drive in Monolith, which will persist if I upgrade the case to a defined 7XL, was a BDRE drive for Blu-ray burners and Blu-ray burning and rewritables. But I definitely see the value in a good plug-in drive. The descendant of this Light-On drive burns DVDs and CDs. It doesn't burn Blu-rays. So it's cheaper, obviously, because it doesn't burn Blu-rays, but plug-in drive. Why don't we check some of that out, too? Let's put this on the floor here. Nope. Over. Darn it. Wow. Wouldn't it be funny if I just broke the drive by plunking it down like that? After years and years and years, but even if I just killed the plug-in drive, it still is the longest lasting Blu-ray drive I've ever had. So the Samsung lasted a couple of years, the Plextor only lasted a year, and now we have something like this. So let's see. What do we have on Newegg these days? I think probably a Vantech case or something. Let's go to Microsoft Edge. Give me my neutral browser. Don't bias it with anything like web history or something. Newegg.com, optical enclosure is probably the best way. Newegg, by the way, is now a publicly traded company on the NASDAQ. NEGG is the ticker symbol. So, OWC Mercury for $92. See here. Keep the drinks ready. This OWC Mercury. Let me check this here. Obviously, it's the Descendant. It's a silver case. It has an OWC logo on it. What kind of support? USB 3.1. Oh, USB 3.1 Gen 1. See here. Let's go into React mode for this. Let's set up React mode and set the browser up to Mozilla Firefox. Turn that on. Is that going to show up? Yeah, and it's going to be the wrong window and the wrong size. Let's link that, the OWC Mercury, and switch it back on. There we go. So here's the actual drive. We could probably zoom in on the drive because you can do, whoops. We could probably zoom in on the drive and things like that. This is the OWC Mercury Pro 5.25-inch optical drive enclosure. So obviously you put your drive inside this thing. It looks like there's, are those rubber feet on the bottom or are those metal feet? Supports 5.25 serial ATA 1.2 opticals, USB 3. It's a USB 3 though, so I wonder if there might be a situation. Where I've had the existing plug-in drive kick off because it was USB 2. So Blu-ray or Blu-ray 4K through something like this. That's another improvement too with the thing that I have. With the new version of Powerdvd that I've picked up as well, is that Blu-ray it supports 4K Blu-ray natively now, plus 64-bit code base. Yeah, it should be interesting. There are other enclosures too, though. Let me just look at the category. Hard drive, it's got hard drive enclosures. The problem is many of these are sealed enclosures that are made for hard drives. It was just that one that was made for opticals. Are there opticals for anything else? Let's just look it up. Optical drive enclosure. We can also go to Amazon and search for that as well. Optical drive enclosure. Yeah. Oh, there is an OWC Mercury External USB with M-Disc and stuff. It's regular USB 3. $67 because it's already going through a third-party drive. Yeah, well. Yeah, so OWC Mercury, that's the company. Let's see here. I don't know if these are rubber feet on the bottom or metal feet. Power DC plug-in. The problem is this 12-volt 3-amp nowadays. The one I have runs 12-volt 2-amp for the power supply. It even has a lock for a Kensington lock. Yeah, but it's the same thing. Silver box. Go to React mode. It's the same thing. It's a silver box. It's a silver box with some feet on the bottom, but only USB 3, not USB 3.1. No, there's some bandwidth differences or something like that. No USB-C for that, though. So yeah, if I wanted to... So I don't know if it's even worth upgrading the drive, unless the electronics break on it or something. Because we'd have to take it apart and things along those lines. $67, though. In the day and age of this chip shortage, it's nice to see that your enclosure won't cost an arm and a leg. But I'm used to Vantech Next Stars and stuff that are under $50. Let's see here. What else is available in Newegg's catalog? Or should we just go to Amazon? That's one of the things I'm worried about, whether Newegg's incorporation is some kind of publicity move. See, there's a dock. Let you put a hard drive and a 5 1/4. That's not what I'm looking for. Yeah, this Mercury Pro seems to be all there is. Otherwise, we just buy some drives. DVD drives still float around the $20 mark. Yay. How about USB? How about Blu-ray? Blu-ray enclosure. Let's mention Blu-ray specifically and see how the search results change. Vantech. Ah, there is. The Nexstar, the Vantech Nexstar DX. It even has a 360-degree view as well. What kind of USB does it have? 3? Put that in React mode. Yeah, it's USB 3. Yeah, so this is, and it even has, the problem I have is that it looks like it has a really bright blue light. React mode. It has a very bright, I bet that's a bright blue light and it looks horrible. You don't want something flashing Morse code signals at you when you're trying to watch your movie. So, with the enclosure that I currently have, this is actually shipped and sold by Aztec Computers, $43, so less expensive. The 360 degree, let's spin this sucker. There's our blue. There's our blue for USB. There's a little rocker switch. And anyway, to zoom in on these specifications, whoops, that's too big. Let me see here. Yeah, OBS. Oh, we can still see it. Okay. Yeah, well, that's full size now. None of the list. Oh, now it's going off the edge. Close that down. Yeah, so there's that. On the bottom, some sort of feet. Cool to not scratch the furniture. What are the electrical specifications? Oh, and there's how you load it up as well. Yeah, it's a circuit board. You put your drive in and stuff like that, and you just slide it in. But this would be a little more ergonomic. It'd be round around the edge. I got a feeling, though, that light is super bright. And that was my problem with the Plextor drive. The Plextor drive was like flashing Morse code at me when I was watching movies in a dark room. If I'm using a light-on drive with just a regular green LED, it's not going to be as bright. Yeah, so looking for that specifically, good. Yeah, that works. Less expensive than the Owc Mercury, but hey, if you want a metal box, then fine. But otherwise, you're floating around the $50 mark. Yeah, Vantech Nexstar. Look at this bright blue light. React mode. Here it is. Here's another one. Here's another one, and look how it's all lit like that. No, you don't want that flashing in your face. You don't want that flashing in your face. You don't want that flashing in your face when you're doing that kind of stuff. Let's see, when you're watching movies. Worst thing in the world. Have that constant thing blinking off to the side. Especially with how every LED these days needs to be high intensity. Look at some of these other ones here. The see, what do we have for the LG? $129. 16 Blu-ray CD burner. Is that because it probably supports 4K. Passing the $100 mark. Rewritable, da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, there's a Blu-ray burner. Yeah, 12-speed Blu-ray burning. Ships from China, $70. Most customers receive within 7 to 32 days. Oh boy, it has to go through customs. That's how unpopular Blu-ray drives have become. Blu-ray on PC lags miserably behind Blu-ray. The best way to watch Blu-ray is on a console. You'll get your AACS updates, things like that, and it's something you probably have anyways. Afterwards, I would say, for simplicity's sake, Blu-ray enclosure. Afterwards, for simplicity's sake, ooh. Well, yeah, if I buy a slim drive for Blu-ray, that would work. Yeah, so I found an $11 one. External USB 3 enclosure on Amazon. What does React mode look like this? Let's take a look at this. This is from Microsoft Edge. Microsoft Edge, please. Does not link up. We shall fix that. Hello, sign in. We don't know who the heck you are. Yeah, well, that's because this is a browser that doesn't have anything. Select your address. Well, let's chop that out. Let's see here. I've had problems with Microsoft. Whoa, motorcycle. See if any of this makes it onto the neighbor motorcycle, too. Yeehaw! See if any of that makes it into anything. Had Eligible for Prime shipping. Let's get the listing in here. Get the listing in here so we don't have to see all those menu options and stuff. And we can make this bigger. So take this, shrink it down, and let's look at these listings. Actually, if we can do this, no. Take it down to about here and click out, click back, and make it bigger. There we go. Nice large print for this one. Get it as soon as Tuesday. Yeah, here we go. $11, but these are laptop drives that power these things, so you're probably going to have it be more expensive on the drive side just to get a $10 case. There's the Vantech for $44, and there's the Owc Mercury. Yeah, you can't. Here's the Vantech Nexstar, some kind of storage adapter. Oh, this lets you just plug the drive directly into it. Oh, this lets you plug the drive directly in without having an enclosure. I don't want that. LG Super Multi Blue. This is actually the drive I have around the $70 mark. You'll clear the $100 mark right now with the chip shortage in order to get yourself some 4K support. And then you'll need software for that side of it. But yeah, Vantech Nexstar, other than the bright blue light, I think the Owc Mercury is probably the best. Metal box. Let's look at the pictures for this. Only one left in stock, order soon. Big metal box. There's some of the other stuff. Oh, it's going off the side. Well, we were just looking at that on Newegg anyways. But yeah, so a little bit of an issue because of the chip shortage. Probably going to clear the $100 mark on that just for PC support. Then you have to buy the software, so the better part of $200. Probably get over $200 to do 4K. The best way to watch Blu-ray is on a console. The end. So you're not going to get support for 4K Blu-ray just yet. You're not going to get support for 4K Blu-ray just yet on consoles until the plastic Taco and the Series X wannabe gaming PC are actually widely available. I think even the Xbox Series... that was the gotcha that I looked up the last time. The half generation with the Xbox One X and whatnot would stream 4K, but there wasn't actually 4K Blu-ray support, which means Blu-ray still has some life left in it at the 1080 level. There is one thing that I noticed with some of the digital copies lately. So, Jaws Blu-ray, we mentioned that it was only a couple of dollars and it had a digital copy. The digital copy, I believe, is in standard def. The 4K version is $17. It says digital code. Okay. I've been looking at some of these digital copies, and some of the digital copies are in HD on the 4K discs. But if you look at like Movies Anywhere or Vudu or something along those lines, what you run into is just the quality's not there. So I was looking at Creed 2, having seen the Blu-ray. The digital stream available on Vudu looked like a DVD. And it wasn't standard def either. It was their so-called HDX. It was their so-called HDX quality. So what else do we have here in this pile of stuff or whatever? So, mentioned Kingdom of Heaven a while back. Ridley Scott, 2000s film, basis similar to Gladiator and whatnot, except it's about a guy during the Crusades and whatnot. This is the director's cut. This was one of my first Blu-rays because I was familiar with the DVD. I think it's like a 3-hour movie, really long movie. There's been a newer version that has a newer codec as well, so it's going to look a little sharper on newer Blu-rays, but I'll keep the 2008 one around. The big thing is that this one lost a lot of the DVD extras from the 2-disc DVD set that I just picked up. So I just repurchased this. This used to be in my collection many, many years ago. Got rid of it when I went Blu-ray, decided to bring it back. As I've seen the director's cut enough times to it can't get over the dialogue differences and some of the differences between the theatrical and the director's version. Kingdom of Heaven really exists as a great example of the difference between the artist's vision and how the suits want to make money. So you have things that were cut out on the cutting room floor that went into the theatrical version, which got mixed reviews in the theaters. And of course, I got the 2005 DVD release again, so I can compare the two. Then you have the director's cut. Director's cut, way more in line with the story that the director wanted to tell, way longer, and gets way better reviews on Amazon versus this getting a little contrived because of all the stuff that was cut out. I first noticed when I got this that I had seen this enough times that I was noticing the dialogue differences in certain scenes. Some of the dialogue differences were dubbed over, obviously, because the stuff that was cut in the theatrical release wouldn't be able to tell a proper story with the original dialogue. So it's just interesting the things, and this is only a $10 DVD these days. The Blu-ray actually costs more, but both of these movies are both of these releases are pretty awesome, but definitely there's an Ultimate Edition out there that pairs up the director's cut of the movie with the DVD extras. But I went and got this instead, just so I can get the DVD extras back and compare the theatrical release to the director's cut. I don't think for any other movie I've really been able to comment as much on the differences between theatrical and extended. But this is actually one of the things that deters me from getting the Lord of the Rings movies, because the set that the box set you can get for those at Walmart is the theatrical releases. Extended editions of the Lord of the Rings movies. Head on off to Amazon. Lord of the Rings Extended Edition. It belies Motion Picture Trilogy Extended Edition is $40 digital. The extended editions of the Middle-earth, Lord of the Rings plus The Hobbit with the latest release, $97, $97.15 for 6 movies. It's around to $100 divided by 6. $16 movies. So you're basically at 2000's DVD prices for the 6 extended editions. Six editions? Wait a minute. 4 film extended editions. Why? No, it's a 6 film collection. Why does it say on the box 4 film? Because of JPEG artifacts in the compression that made the Hobbit trilogy and Lord of the Rings trilogy 30-disc set look like an extended edition. Those are probably some huge extended editions then. Similar to how the Kingdom of Heaven director's cut is way longer. What's the difference? What was the difference in the run times again? Let's see. Do I really want to read the... We can just look it up. I just know there was so much cut out of the Kingdom of Heaven theatrical release that people couldn't really understand the story as well. I mean, it's about a guy from France going to Jerusalem during the Crusades, and some of the morality issues and other stuff with that. Hobbit trilogy, oh, that's the UK version. Say, that gets me thinking, where is my plug-in drive? Another advantage of Blu-ray on PC with plug-in drives. Here's something I've been thinking a lot about. Region locking. Region locking on Blu-rays is a limited, hardware-limited thing where, like, something gets shorted or something on the circuit board every time you change it. You only have a limited number of region changes per Blu-ray drive. Physically. So I'm wondering if I would run into DRM issues if I built another Blu-ray plug-in drive specifically for things like European Blu-rays. So, let's see here. What if, why don't we just Google that? Blu-ray European drive in America. I wonder if that would... Because that's actually something I'm curious here. You can only change the region X amount of times. What if you have a drive that is set for that region, but it's playing on an American computer? Let's see here. Disc Media has region codes, Does the software check it, though? That's my question. Ultra HD are region free. That's cool. It's regular Blu-ray that still has regions in it. DVD, I think, as well. The Blu-ray disc this is from Sony's website about these things. The Blu-ray disc or Blu-ray optical drive can play Blu-ray discs purchased in the same region. That means a computer or a Blu-ray disc player. Whoops! Watch that box. That's the box for the Ashen's box set. Don't want to crush it. Just want to put this over here. The Blu-ray device or Blu-ray optical drive can play Blu-ray discs purchased in the same region. That means the computer or disc player, just say drive at this point, purchased in countries listed in Region A can only play Blu-ray discs that are recorded in Region A, in exception to region-free discs and players. This applies to computers or Blu-ray disc players purchased in other regions unless otherwise specified in the player or in the computer's documentation. Well, here's the thing. With a plug-in drive, build as many of these as you want. What if I built a plug-in drive, a European Blu-ray plug-in drive? Get a BD-ROM or something, cheapest Blu-ray drive that I can get, put it in Enclosure, burn one of your region changes to set it to Euro, and maybe like put like a Union Jack on it or something, I don't know, or EU stars or something like that. I wonder about that. Could you just have a situation where that'd be an advantage of Blu-ray on PC? A nerd advantage, but then again, it's just like PC gaming. It's just like PC gaming where there's little nerd advantages where if you're willing to tinker, it's going to cost more, but you're going to get more for your money with that sort of thing. Yeah, I gotta wonder about that. Can I just make another drive or turn this one into a Euro drive for European Blu-ray? Region lock to region B. Yeah, American computer and whatnot, but can I make a European Blu-ray drive with that sort of thing and get around? Well, at least with 4K, we're not gonna have to worry about any of this anymore. All right, what else do we have in the pile for the backlog besides what we already had? So I had to make a decision earlier with regards to what did I want to watch with Blu-rays getting a lot less expensive. What did I want to watch in terms of kind of seeing the development of movies throughout the decades? Decided, you know what, I'm going to go on a big Bond marathon. I've already seen all the Daniel Craig movies, picked up Spectre to finish off the Daniel Craigs as well. The Daniel Craig up to this point, there's one that's being worked on right now, but so I decided I would start with the Sean Connery collections from the Bond 50 thing, which are now available for purchase separately. Yeah, there we go. Of course, this has a bit of a problem with stuff falling out as well. Start with the Sean Connery Bond movies, which, when I think about Dr. No, which came out in 1962, holy crap. The original Sean Connery James Bond movie might have been one that my grandparents thought my dad was too young to go see. That's how long Bond's been around. So, then of course, I picked up On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and these all have the same design on the discs as well. I think what we have here is the Bond 50 box set is being sold separately or something like that, because I look at the dates on these things and when they were made. But I don't want a gigantic Bond 50 box. There are some collectors that will do that, but we'll start with the Sean Connery movies and watch them all in chronological order. So starting with Dr. No and moving forward, including On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Then we'll pick up with the collection after Sean Connery and proceed forward. Who was that? It seems to be some of these names here. Let's see. The 007, the collection. What was the next one again? Daniel Craig, I'm all set on. Sean Connery, Roger Moore. There we go. I almost said Roger Taylor. Like, wait a minute. I had to double check the names. We'll get started on the Roger Moore movies. All the indie Bonds, too, if we want to call them that, with one-offs of an actor here, an actor there before Pierce Brosnan. And once I get the Pierce Brosnan collection, I basically have all of... Once I get the Pierce Brosnan collection, I basically have all the movies. I basically have it all in terms of the Bond 50 thing without having a giant thing that doesn't fit on the shelf. I mean, those big collector's editions, whether it's games or movies, they're made to be shown off. So, oh look, the Tom Cruise Mission Impossible 6 movie collection, $30. 30 divided by 6. I'm sure I can do the math. $5 movies. Again, you see a $30 Blu-ray something or another these days. It's probably a collection or something that's done really well. Very rare to see those old school prices out there. But $5 movies, that's Walmart bargain bin in disguise. You're just buying a bunch of stuff and paying the $30 instead of stuff from before. But, yep, there we go. Yep, and then the Pierce Brosnan collection is just one Blu-ray. One is just one set of 4 movies and whatnot. But I'm not going to buy those until I get there. So we're going to go through everything, marathon these. Don't forget we also have stuff for Predator. We also have stuff for... I want to see the Predators first before I get into the James Bond Mega Marathon. Because we have the Ultimate Hunter Edition with its infamous DNR. I want to see if I can get through that without sitting way the heck back away from the screen because of how it got DNR'd to hell. Wax Figure Arnold. I am Wax Figure Arnold. The Blu-ray dude did way too much DNR. So, well, yeah, we'll start with that. We'll interject this one, and we'll go based on the Wikipedia article, which has all the Bond movies when they were released, and just in chronological order, advanced forward from the 60s to the Daniel Craig era, where I've already seen everything. Where I've already seen all the movies, now that I have Spectre and whatnot. Yeah, let's see here. Beginning with, of course, Casino Royale, a wonderful example of how Blu-ray cases have kind of softened up since the early days of Blu-ray. Unless it's the case that plastic being plastic, this movie has just gotten stiffer and more brittle over time as the plastic has aged. Who knows? But I run into that with older DVDs as well. But you think about how old some of these DVDs are. This is a 2005 release right here. 2005, 2006. So it's still floating around out there. Had to buy this from an Amazon 3PL, and it was the last one they had. Lucky. I think I bought this at Walmart back when it was new, way back when I was still doing nothing but DVD. Yep, 2-disc DVD. Bit more sturdy with the thing in the middle versus the Blu-ray descendant of these things. But it's the theatrical version, well worth comparing to the director's cut as well. And of course, after this, we have the rest of the backlog, which is Predator, and then the DVDs, where I've seen almost all of the movies, but there's one very specifically that I haven't seen yet, which we'll watch in the new handy-dandy upscale DVD thing that's available as well. But hey, it's a wonderful world we live in. I remember when movies were more expensive than they are. But the good news is that Outsource and Indiana Jones can go on the shelves finally, and we'll keep these over here. Keep those over there. We'll keep those in the shot for the time being until we actually clean the place up a bit, clear off the sofa. I actually want to make an Ashen's pastiche of the Ashen's movies. Fitting tribute to the guy, considering I've been a fan of his stuff for so long. Yeah, and I suppose when I'm done with the backlog, kind of do a comparison of the two Kingdom of Heaven releases again, and maybe get into some of the other Ridley Scott stuff like Gladiator and whatnot. There's so many movies out there where I've heard of them, even seen memes about them, but haven't seen them. Might be time to play a little catch-up, as physical media gets pretty cool these days. Yeah, physical media is not entirely worthless. Between quality, bitrate issues, things along those lines, still plenty of things you can do with upscale DVD, and Blu-ray. Even 1080 Blu-ray upscaling to 4K. Very curious about that, but I don't have 4K TV just yet. So let's see. This has been disliked, right? Da-da-da-da-da-da. Like the rant was? No, of course not. That's cool. Yeah. So yeah, let's get back to the movies. YouTube's a bit of a mess right now. Anyway, so might as well get back into movies. And then decide when I want to finally do something with that new camera I've had sitting around for a while to make videos with. Hopefully my hypothesis about the 5.1 recording on that camera is correct. One of the issues I've had over the years is the muffled sound of being behind a camera. But if you have a camera that records in 5.1, because it has microphones all around it, and you downmix to stereo to make YouTube videos, does that mean you will have clear narration when it gets downmixed? We shall see. Let's get back to the movies then. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.